recording. No, they are unmuted. लास्ट में डाल की वाला उनका
Hello?
So please go live.
Hello?
Yeah, please go live.
Okay.
Hi guys, my name is Preeti Srivastava and I welcome you all to the webinar. I hope I'm audible. Please let us know by typing in the chat box if you are facing any problems with the sound or screen. Also, please bear in mind the Q&A round will happen at the end of the session, but feel free to type your questions in the question box on the right side as we proceed. So I have with me Srishti Bajaj, an MA in Design Products from Royal College of Arts, London, and a creative entrepreneur. Srishti has been awarded as one of the top 20 creative entrepreneurs in India by IIM and British Council. She is the founder of Design Bait, a multidisciplinary design and research consultancy. A passionate educator, researcher, she heads product design course at Pearl Academy. Let's hear what she has to talk about today's webinar on the future of a product designer. Over to you, Srishti.
Thank you, Preeti. Hi, everyone. It's really a pleasure to have you all here, and it's great to have an opportunity to discuss product design. I'm very passionate about it, and I hopefully can imbibe some of that for all of you. So product design is really a very, very large field. It's growing by the day. There are many different product categories that come under product design, which also leads to a lot of confusion. So hopefully through the presentation, you'll have some clarity as we go along. So specific to product design in Pearl Academy, there are several aspects that we look into. So if you look at the screen, the categories in product design range from furniture, whether it's interior inside the house or exterior in public spaces, to industrial products, that could mean your telephone, your air conditioners, your washing machine. Those are all industrial products because they're made within an industrial setup, mass production basically. Lifestyle products is also often considered a part of product design. However, with Pearl Academy now we have an independent course being offered in product design. And if you want to find out more about it, you can obviously look through the website or call the numbers, the toll-free numbers. Technology products is another huge category in product design. What that really means is technology embedded products. So for example, when you're sitting on a table and you keep your phone on it, can it charge your phone? Or you're standing next to a chair and it turns around to help you see it. So that's interactive products, which is becoming the big new field in product design. Lighting, of course, has been around for a while and has really caught the imagination of a lot of people today. Between accent, ambient, and task lighting, whether it's a floor lamp, whether it's an overhead lamp, it's a tube light, or it's an architecture light, all of those are product designs. System and service design, what that looks at is really being able to design the experience of a user at the beginning till the end of a product. So when you buy a printer, to when you buy the cartridges for a printer, to when you actually pick up the phone to ask for a delivery of a cartridge, how it's packaged, how it's delivered, all of that system gets designed by product designers today. What are the markets in product design? So I've tried to make it very sort of clear distinctions between the three kinds of economic segments almost, where you have luxury, which is the very high-end consumer durables. So when you have a gold-plated telephone, a mobile phone, that comes under luxury, or a smartphone comes under luxury. Everyday becomes consumer durables that you use every day, from your kitchen utensils to your pencil to your sharpeners. All of that is part of everyday consumables. Now, the other very interesting field and a very exciting field right now in product design is looking at the bottom of the pyramid. There are a lot of NGOs, a lot of corporate investors within this field where they look at how we can actually make the lives of the people who can't afford a lot of things better. So if you look at the example of the image here, you see this design has been this is a cardboard box slash bag slash table, which is made by a product designer for an NGO. So it's for students who really don't have furniture to sit on. Even when the classrooms, they sit on the floor. So here the bag really becomes something they can carry their books in. They can use it to study, and it's multi-purpose. It's extremely cost effective, and it's easily accessible. So here again, product design for the bottom of the pyramid. Okay. Now, what are the sectors in product design? The reason we've put this up is to sort of give you a bandwidth of the kind of places where you can find work. So, if, for example, you are making furniture, you could work in the hospitality industry, which means hotels, luxury travel. They require a lot of products that you can facilitate as a product designer. Residential, obviously, all the products that you see inside a house. Public spaces, again, very, very interesting, where you can, when you step outside the house, you know, the railing in the garden that your grandparents try to go for a walk in the evening, to the gate of that public park, to the swings put in the public park. Those are some examples of public spaces. Even when you go to a metro station, the kind of objects and products that you see in a metro station, the handrails within the metro, you know, where you sit, the seats in the metro, all of those are designs within the public space. Now, the next option here is workspaces. I mean, that's quite obvious. Offices. You know, what kind of furniture, what kind of objects, what kind of things do people have in their workspaces? From modular furniture to your desk lamp, to your air conditioner in the office, to the board meeting room and the table within it. All of that are objects within the workspace. Social impact, I touched about that in the last slide, where we're looking at how to make a social impact through product design. And healthcare, so medical goods and devices, this is again a huge field, where, for example, how do you design a bed for a hospital for children? Obviously, it should be a lot different than for adults. Maybe you use more colors, maybe you make it much more friendly and fun for a child patient. So all of that becomes part of healthcare. One of the things that I would like to definitely mention is that in today's world, if you look at the companies, the way they are expecting, and the users, what their expectation of a product design is to go much beyond the product. You know, you could have the fanciest of cell phone, but if it's inconveniencing you to make a call, you'd probably not use it. So the product design is no longer about the product, it's about the experience, and the product becomes the tool, the device, mechanism, or instrument to deliver an experience. Another really good example to illustrate what I'm trying to say here is, imagine you go to a shop, you go to a mall, you go to a furniture store, and you find a really beautiful red, if I can mention it, very sexy looking couch. It's beautiful, right? You want to take it home immediately. You'd beg your parents for money to take it home. But you try to sit on it and you find that it's extremely uncomfortable. But you buy it. It could be a brilliantly designed product, but if it's not comfortable, if that chair is not comfortable, you won't use it. So it's really that experience that matters. You know, you would want to buy a chair that you can sit comfortably in for an hour or two and watch a movie. Is that product delivering that experience for you? That becomes a deciding factor for good product design. So I'm going to show you a few examples to illustrate, you know, the kind of spectrum that product design really follows. So these are works by other designers. This is a really interesting project I found called Nanum, and it's a coffee container, but it actually contains or maintains the temperature of whatever liquid you're drinking. So if you want hot tea, ask your parents, they'll tell you about this. It's very, very hard to maintain hot tea in a cold winter. So this glass effectively will help you maintain that temperature, or, you know, make sure that the cold coffee stays cold or the hot chocolate stays hot. So hot tea is, and has an indicator as well, which you see that little LED bulb. Right here. So this allows you to see whether the temperature is there or not. So a product designer will try and design all of this. So where the liquid is contained, where the battery is, how the LED is connected, where you hold it, how it's going to look, the material used, the colors, all of these becomes part of a product designer's work profile. Now here's a brilliant example of effective design. This is done by the designers from IIT. What they did was they were researching how to help people who have visual disability to deal with the world better. Through their research, they found that although walking sticks help them find their way, but walking sticks also limit, how they are able to navigate the world. Because through a walking stick, you can only feel what's on the floor. You can't feel something that's on eye level, for example. So blind people would often run into obstacles. What this does is it learns from a bat. The way the bat sends out a sonar signal, the walking stick, has a little mechanism that throws out certain vibrations. So if you are closer to an obstacle, the vibrations will get quicker, and the further you are, the slower it will become. So it allows somebody with a visual disability to really gauge what distance they are from an obstacle in front of them and keep them from running into accidents and sort of injuring themselves. Now, isn't that just a brilliant idea? It's such a simple design. And what I liked about this is that this little mechanism can fit on any walking stick. So you can have anything that folds or something that doesn't fold, but the product works universally. So universal design is a huge aspect of good products. So this moves a little bit away from the previous two examples. By a designer called Michael Foley. He runs a studio in Bangalore. This was the Commonwealth Games Baton. So here the idea was about, really truly about the experience, the idea of how do you design something that represents the secularism of India. What it did was, if you look at the baton, you see these different shades of color. This is not just color, these are actually grains of sand collected from different places across the country, all put together in one element of unity and uniformity. And it has LEDs, so in the dark you can see it glow in the tricolor. And really the idea was, the design was more the symbol of India rather than immediate functionality. Although it does of course works as a baton to be passed around, but the essential quality of this was, how do you symbolize a very, very large idea through an object? It's very, very interesting. And if you look at the finishing, the finesse, where it should be gold plated, how to use the glass, how big it should be, where it will be gripped, how the LEDs are going to be housed in it. All of these are aspects of designing the product, which is what you will learn when you do a design program. Here's another great example. This actually recently won a few awards as well. This is by Godrich, and this is a combination of a dining table and an induction stove. And the reason for doing this, and this is what I'm quoting the designer here, the lady who designed this wanted to make sure that the mothers of the world can join the dinner table instead of just being in the kitchen while everybody else stays on the dining table. So it's really about product design, or the design of this dining table, bringing the entire family together. You don't have to go back to the kitchen to heat things. You can make chapatis right here on the dining table. It really is a beautiful example of how design can make life truly happier and simpler and far more comfortable. Okay, so this again moves completely away from the previous example. This is where we look at sustainability as a huge part of product design in the future. I mean, if you have been aware of the Paris conference about climate change, everybody is worried about the climate. So how can you as a designer look at objects, maybe furniture, maybe something else, and make it more sustainable? These are designs by Sandeep Sangru, again, who's based out of Bangalore, and he makes furniture out of bamboo. Bamboo, as you know, is a very, very sustainable, easy to grow piece of, wood. So it's well, it revives itself much quicker than other kinds of woods because it grows faster. So this is, and it lasts longer. So it really is about future designers being able to think from a very, very ecologically strong and concerned space of thinking. Now, technology plays a huge part in product design, not just in terms of the digital world, but also in terms of manufacturing. So, what you see here is actually, you will not believe it, but it's a 6 foot wide slab of marble. This is, you can find this outside the Ministry of Home Affairs right here in Delhi. It's designed by a designer at a company called Y Walls. And what they did was, uh, the idea was to actually welcome people. So they took a huge slab of marble and used what we call a CNC. So CNC machine is computer numeric machine, and what we do is once you've created this design in a software, that gets inputted to the machine and the machine does all the carving. As you can see, here is an exploded view of what this piece looks like. It's obviously got lights in it, but it really is a coming together of both craft and technology. And that's one of the freedoms that we really have as designers in India, where we have access to live crafts, whether it's woodworking, metal smithing, very traditional crafts which are part of, such a strong part of Indian culture, and we have access to very, very modern technology. So today a product designer has the ability and has the aspiration to maybe mix the both, maybe not stay entirely in the past and combine it with what's happening in the future, but again bringing your own very, very Indian flavor to it. So, a couple of things that I'd want to talk about with respects to Pearl Academy. What is the aspiration that we find the industry is looking at when you graduate as a product designer? And this list has been put together after talking to a lot of contemporary designers who are hiring today. And more often than not, one of the key things that they point out is empathy. Empathy is really how you connect with people, because products, it's one of the big differences between product and art, design and art. Design is about you, product is about me. As an artist, I don't have to worry about whether the end user or somebody who's seeing my art will like it or not. They have the freedom to. However, if I'm a product designer, I have to ensure that somebody buys that product and somebody is willing to pay money for it, because otherwise it's not fulfilling the objective of design. You know, and we design for business. So it's an important aspect that you understand who you're designing for. So empathy is a very, very, very strong part of product design. Curiosity, obviously, all designers need to be curious. We want people to ask the question why. We want students to find the answer, but before you find the answer, you need to ask the right question. So how do you really learn to do that? If you're curious about the world, you will find the answers. So curiosity is a huge aspect of a good product designer. Creativity, of course, problem solving and innovation. Can you think out of the box? Can you think in abstraction? Can you think of ideas that nobody else can think of? So elements of creativity are, of course, a very important part of a good designer. A 360-degree perspective. Unlike maybe 10 years ago, today, the idea of culture environment is very, very critical to product design. You cannot think of a product without thinking of the culture in which it is going to exist, nor can you afford to not know about the environmental impact your product is going to have, whether it's in terms of the production numbers or it's in terms of how the material will finally finds its demise. Will it be plastic that takes a billion years to dissolve, or will it be something like bamboo that goes back into the earth seamlessly? So a 360-degree perspective on what impact your product is going to have on everything around you is very, very crucial. Aesthetics, of course, is very, very critical. I mean, at the end of the day, That's the first things we see as a user when you go as a shopper. In fact, when you go into a market and you spot something because it looks good. So form and function have to follow each other. Trends also become very, very important because at the end of the day, you need to forecast what a person half a year from now will want to buy in the market. So trends become very, very important. It's almost like fashion where you have to predict what the future trend is going to be. Similarly, in product design as well, we have social and design trends. Now, making, of course. One of the key principles of product design is to think by making. We encourage people to thinking while doing or thinking while making, which means you'll be sitting in a workshop working with wood, with metal, with a lathe machine, with a drill, with a hacksaw, and actually creating things through your own hands. That's handcrafting. You will also get access to a lot of interesting machines and tools, like the CNC router that I mentioned earlier. So industrial processes are a huge part of product design and technology as well. I mean, technology is changing so fast that for a product designer to keep pace with what's happening every other day, it's becoming very important. You cannot ignore technology anymore. So that's a huge part of the future of product design. So, one of the questions that I always get asked is, in India, what will product designers do? What will it be? What is the future of product design in India? And I can guarantee you that India is really looking at a new language of design. I mean, if you look historically, you can look at American design or Scandinavian design or Japanese design and very clearly say, oh, that is extremely Japanese. But do we have the same language for India? So the impetus is really going to be to future designers to, first look at what India really needs. And we have the Prime Minister's Made in India campaign. So a lot of interesting spaces opening up in India. People are very, very interested to look at both design leaders, people who can do sustainable innovation, looking at marrying craft and technology, creative entrepreneurs. I mean, the startup field in India is huge. So can your product actually become a business? Are you making products that are culturally relevant? These are all extremely important questions for any future product designer. And I would really like to just quickly close up with this statement for you, that what is it that you really want to make? For every product designer, there's a certain aspiration. Do you want to be a furniture maker? Do you want to work with the underprivileged? Do you want to work internationally? What is it that you really want to make? And I think that is driven by deep passion. Product designers must have very, very deep passion because that's the only thing that carries you through and takes you to becoming from a design student to a design leader of the future. And that is really the last slide. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Srishti, for this interesting session. We are now open for Q&A. Please type your questions in the question box on the right side and we'll answer them for you.
So by the time we wait for some questions to come in, what I can do is take you through some of the interesting projects my students have done this year. So some of the key projects that they really found interesting was things like health and wellness. So our third year students worked with people who maybe have a disability in walking. So one of the girls designed a walking stick that also turns into an exercise machine. Quite a cool project. Another one looked at how you can make products to help you bust stress. So when you have exams and you're feeling really, really stressed, and you see these interesting exercise balls in the market. So he looked at how we can design products that can help with relieving stress. Oh, we have a few questions.
Srishti, we have some of the questions here and we'll take these questions one on one. So there's a question from Neena saying that, can you please name some of the companies in which we can get placements?
So, so this is also something that I tell my students: if your work is good, you can get placement anywhere. So some of the companies that our students have worked with: Godrich, Other designers like Ayush Kasliwal, NLDK, their export houses that they worked with, furniture companies like Durian. I mean, really, there's no limitation to the kind of companies that you can work with. If your work is good, we can guarantee you a placement.
Srishti, we have another question coming from Nupur, which is, what is the difference between product design and lifestyle accessory design?
I think that's a great question, Nupur. So product design is very, very wide. However, the key differentiation is the approaches towards design. Product designers are really about problem solving. How do you make a product better, better for the user, better for the world? So if I were to design a chair, how can I make this chair more comfortable? A lifestyle accessory designer will look at how to sort of make it more trendier. They'll look at the aesthetic aspect of an object more than the problem solutions of it. A lifestyle accessory designer's sort of range of products will include tabletop accessories, we do jewelry, watches. Again, these are all lifestyle products. So the bag that you're carrying, how do you make it trendier? How do you use different materials to make it more interesting, more beautiful? All of that becomes part of lifestyle accessory design. These are accessories for lifestyle, as the name suggests. I hope that helps.
Thanks, Srishti. There's another question coming up regarding portfolio. So what exactly do we expect in the portfolio? How exactly the portfolio should be made for our undergrad program?
Okay, so there are two ways to look at it, Tarun. One, you can have a portfolio which really showcases where your interests are passions are. We are definitely not expecting a design portfolio because we know you are coming to learn design. You're not already a designer. Otherwise, you wouldn't need to study. So it's really about being able to articulate who you are as a person, how you think. It's not even about great sketches. Really, we will teach you sketching when you come into the foundation. So if you have anything that you've done, craft projects, interesting paintings and drawings you've done through school, anything that you've made on your own, any interesting photography, anything that can represent who you are as a person, that is what we're interested in.
Thanks, Srishti. There's last question coming from Nina again, asking about the starting salary packages.
Okay, Nia, so this is again extremely subjective because depends entirely on your work. We've had students starting at 20,000. We've also had students starting at 60,000 rupees per month. So it's entirely dependent on work. It's really interesting that recently I can quote a figure, NID, where there's a student who earned a 72 lakh package. So people are paying for product designers. The market is opening up like never before.
Srishti, we have another question coming from Deepak, and he is confused between two streams, which is interior architecture and design and product design. It seems they work hand in hand. Would you like to answer that?
Yes, Deepak. I get this question often, and the key differentiations between interior design architecture and product design is that for the former, the interior design architecture is always based around a space. So if I were to give somebody a brief that design or create a space for me to live in, they're going to look at the windows, they're going to look at the walls, they're going to look at the electrical ducting, they're going to look at the interior construction of the room. That's interior design architecture. The space layout, where the furniture should be put, where the kitchen should be. While a product designer is going to design that furniture. They're going to design that kitchen. They're going to design the objects in that kitchen. So it can be independent of the space. Like you could have an interior design architect design your house for you, the interiors of the design house for you. A product designer can give you the products to put into that room or that house. They often work together because these are extremely allied fields. So yes, they do work together. And the differences I've already spoken about. I hope that helps. And if you have more questions, please feel free to pose it again.
It seems we are pretty much through, Srishti. Thank you so much for your reply, and thank you so much for the interesting session. Thanks a lot to all the attendees. We hope the webinar was helpful. In case there are any more questions, please feel free to call us on our toll-free number, which is 1800 or visit our website, that is pearlacademy.com.
Thank you, Shubham.